So the program that we're offering that Barry mentioned that starts in just a very few weeks, we refer to as Soul-Centered Living 1. And of course that implies there could be a 2 and a 3. And this will be a 10-month certificate program in spiritual psychology. And so you may be wondering, well, what soul-centered living, what does that really mean? And the essence of soul-centered living is really waking up into the awareness of who you truly are, waking up into the awareness of the love, the authenticity, the joy, the aliveness, the creativity, the wisdom of who you are, and then living your life from that place. That is really a pretty extraordinary educational process. So let's talk about what some of the hallmarks of this of soul-centered living. And I'm going to speak about them as not things you get or concepts or ideas, but rather in going through the program, these are the things that you will know at this level when you complete this program. And the first one of these is you will have learned how to use all of life's experiences in service to your awakening, and you'll have practical tools that will assist you in doing that. That is really a very radical educational statement. You're not going to learn about, you're going to learn how, so that you really know how to do this for yourself. You'll embrace your essential nature as loving. And by embrace it, we don't mean that you're going to hug yourself, although that would be fine too. But it's like you'll have the experience inside where you'll come into the knowing of that. And you'll, over time, learn how to live in that consciousness, in that way of being. And we have a lot of tools that are designed to assist people in letting go of mental anguish and emotional suffering. And those, as Ron said, are the barriers to the awareness of your authentic self, barriers to the love that you are. And there are a lot of tools that we have developed over the years that are highly effective in this process. Oh, this is fun. You know, part of what I'm loving about the way that we're working with this program is there's also going to be a focus on your giftedness. Yes, we're going to work with your issues. We're going to assist you in learning how to dissolve those barriers. But we're also going to be shining the light on the giftedness of who you are and assist you in coming into a greater awareness of that. And really, as you get more connected with your authentic self, there's a greater willingness to stand up inside yourself and to share those gifts. And as a result, you have much more of a sense of purpose. And when you have a sense of purpose, it's much easier to move forward in your life because you have a sense of goals and direction. There's a big emphasis on the program, in the program on personal responsibility in a very, very important and powerful and empowering way. Because it's like when we begin to accept responsibility for ourselves, we recognize that we have choices, and perhaps the mother of all choices is recognizing that we have dominion over what we allow to run within our own consciousness. And as you begin to know that, you really recognize that your life is up to you, that it is truly a do-it-yourself job. I remember when I had that epiphany. I remember it as clearly today as if it happened this morning. And it was an incredible moment because inside myself I heard, if it's going to be, it's up to me. It was just that knowing that my life was my responsibility, that I couldn't expect nor count on or pretend that somebody else was going to do it for me. And the last one, live into the joy and true happiness that are available to you here and now. And those qualities, joy, true happiness, aliveness, fulfillment, meaning, purpose, those are all things that are available inside each one of us at the authentic self level. I'm also very briefly going to touch on what are the 8 primary elements of this program. We work with 30 soul-centered basic skills. These skills are life-changing. I know when we just completed a practicum that was for the students that were graduating. It's a week-long event that we do in the desert, and it's really the culmination of the 2 years of work, and it's very, very powerful. And I was sharing with them that one of the books I'd love to write is a book called 10 Skills That Saved My Life. And I truly mean that. These skills make such an important difference. And these are skills for awakening. These are skills of issue resolution, and they're skills that bring you into the consciousness of the authentic self.
Which 20 are you going to leave out?
I have my list.
Okay.
I can't give away everything.
All right, all right.
All right. Okay, so the next
We
one.
have a lot of fun in here, by the way. I mean, I don't know where this idea has spiritual awakening must be hard.
So this educational process happens inside the spiritual context, as Ron shared. And we have 33 principles. They're spiritual psychology principles, and they are just reading them. We're finishing a book that we're working on. It's actually due to our publisher October 1st, and so we've been very pedal to the metal, very focused, very disciplined about this process of completing it. And I know yesterday I was writing some new material for one of the chapters, and what came forward was just 11 of these principles. And when I read the list, I said, oh my gosh, these are game changers. It's like they just completely alter your perception of yourself and what life is all about. And then your life all of a sudden becomes much more magical. Oh, and we have this other element of the program. I love this element. It's really all about learning tools for creating your future. And people have dreams. They have aspirations. They have things that I would say that they just came in with them. They're part of their intrinsic nature. They're very deep and very heartfelt. And part of what we do is we fan the flame of those dreams and encourage people to begin to once again dare to believe in their dreams and to move forward in manifesting them. And this is part of the work that we do every single month in every single class weekend. And then one of the new things that we're adding to the program that has more emphasis now than it has had explicitly in the past is this matter of clarifying and aligning with your life purpose. People yearn to have a sense of meaning and purpose, and there are types of inquiry that are part of the program that are designed to assist people in connecting with that. When people get on track with that, it's a really, really happy day. And the other thing that I've noticed through doing this work all these years is that as people get more in touch with that, and they're more in touch with the authenticity of who they are, and they start standing up in themselves in that way, a lot of their issues just start to fall away. It's like they no longer have the investment in utilizing those as a way of victimizing themselves or protecting themselves from having to really come forward in who they are. We also will provide specific tools for working at each level of consciousness because the physical, mental, and emotional levels are very different from each other. You need different approaches and different tools in order to work effectively at those levels. And we also have tools for working at the authentic self level. This next one I love. This is a thread that runs through all of our work. It really has to do with self-nurturing. You know, if you are in fact a divine being having a human experience, then how do you care for yourself? How do you care for yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? A lot of us have the basics of kind of rudimentary physical self-care down. But when you start awakening, you're so much more of the dimensionality of who you are and these more subtle levels inside. And ways, there are specific tools that you can learn that make a huge difference just in your sense of overall well-being. And it's like, the metaphor I often think of is one of the garden. You know, if you don't weed and water and fertilize a garden, pretty soon it falls into a state of disrepair. There still may be a dormant energy there that can be resuscitated and revived and once again brought into full bloom. And our consciousness is the same way. We can learn these ways of relating with ourselves that are like a drink of cold water on a really hot day. They're just so refreshing and revitalizing. Oh, this is a lovely aspect of the program because it has to do with the community. People who come to USM are wonderful people. The classes become an amazing support group. People make lifelong friends in the program. We were in Santa Barbara just a few days ago for a wedding that we were officiating at. And it was a USM grad who had come to USM because he was very, very newly divorced and just dealing with the aftermath of that and really wanting to do the inner work that would prepare him for a loving relationship. And so here we were having this lovely wedding, and part of what was so beautiful, it was a relatively small wedding. There were 50 people. The majority of them were family. But the other friends were there were primarily friends of the groom, and they were his USM classmates. You know, and the depth of the bond and the level of support that was present is a beautiful thing to witness. And this is one of the really fun things that we have added. Now we have between class online activities that are designed to support the students in the program and being able to integrate these tools so that they can accelerate their transformation and really more easily become, let me say it that way, more easily become a way of life. And we have been working with these with our Director of Online Education. She's not here tonight. She's in the south of France with her husband enjoying a well-deserved holiday before we get underway with the fall classes. But Ron and I reviewed them all right before she went on vacation. Oh my gosh, I am so excited and thrilled. This is really a very elegant support for students in the program. So really the curriculum is integrated. It's a hybrid curriculum. There'll be the in-class experience in the weekends, and between classes there will be these online activities that you'll do. And also, well, I'll share what some of them will be, some of the formats for them. So I mentioned they accelerate awakening. They support you in the integration of the principles and practices as a way of life and a way of being. And they will foster a greater experience of purpose, meaning, fulfillment, which we consider to be hallmarks of soul-centered living.
So the important point in all this is to keep in mind, when you're not going to be sitting around, we're going to be talking about these things. You're going to be involved in doing everything that we have talked about so far, plus what we're going to be talking about next.
So as Ron was saying, this is not studying about This is not theoretical and conceptual. This is very applied. It's very experiential. You will be engaged in the classroom in this. And part of what's also beautiful, the class weekends themselves. Here you have 2.5 days each month where you actually have the experience of living inside the spiritual context. You actually have the experience of it, and you're learning tools and methodology so that you can do it outside the classroom in your everyday life. So we have these two synergistic experiential learning modalities, the in-class weekends, which are October through June, plus 1 week in the summer, and then the online activities, which will be available 24/7. So part of what's going to be so cool is that transformation will be just a click away. And it will be accessible from any digital device, from your smartphone, from your iPad or tablet, from your computer.
How about watches?
Watches, if you have one of those watches, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me.
Beam me up, Scotty.
All right, so is there something more here, Ron?
I thought there was. There it is. Okay, here we go.
Can I click this myself?
Yeah, sure.
There's a-
Sure. Click away.
We're getting towards the end. So these online activities, well, what would they be like? There'll be guided meditations. We have some lovely guided meditations that will be available that you can listen to. There'll be guided processes that I'll guide you through where you'll have the opportunity to review and practice the skills that you've learned in the class weekend. The class will have a private Facebook forum. That's really a cool thing. There's a lot of love and support that occurs there. There'll be inspirational soul moments, and there's going to be some fun soul play. I won't give away what that is, but for those of you who participate, that you'll find out. Because what can I say? As Ron said, this doesn't have to be heavy and serious. It can be very creative and very engaging and very uplifting, very, very fun. So then we want to talk a little bit about the weekends themselves and what happened.
I don't know. I'm not clicking.
So the weekends themselves really are characterized by the following. There's a sense of the sacred because we all entered the spiritual context and we recognize ourselves and each other as divine beings having a human experience. We've talked about as highly experiential, which is, to me, what just brings it all alive. It's practical and relevant. These are real skills and practices that you will use in your everyday life. It's very supportive. It's deeply healing and transformational. Deeply, deeply healing. It takes place in an atmosphere of loving excellence. This program is highly refined, and it's beautifully designed, and I don't say that because we're the designers of it. It's more like what this has been for us is a labor of love, of faithfully tending something and taking dictation from Spirit over many years. And so this program is very well integrated and very refined. It's alive, it's dynamic, it's joyful and fun, it's a very creative process, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring. When you come into the USM classroom and you start experiencing the quality of sharing that goes on in there, the things that people start laying down, it will inspire you in moving to your own next levels of courage, of strength of heart, of self-honesty, such that you can move into another way of being. So you might ask, who is this program for? It's really for,
You.
Me.
No,
Who is this program for? Maybe I shouldn't be trying to click. Look, there's nothing there. What happened?
would you like me to go back and pick it up?
Well, I know who the program is for. I don't need the slide to tell me. The program, the program is really for people who recognize there's more to the game of life than just the goal line. That there's more going on here than what initially meets the eye. And it's for people who have a heartfelt calling to do this work in consciousness. It's for people who recognize that something extraordinary is starting to happen on this planet. And the evolutionary tide, the tide of awakening, is rising. More and more people are feeling called to live according to a different way, and a way that's in harmony with their essential nature. Another question that people ask is, what is a class weekend like? It's incredible. It'd have to be incredible for us to still be doing it. Otherwise, we should be in the Bahamas and doing something entirely different, but that isn't the case. What is a class weekend? Well, on Friday night when we come in, we always start with some sharing, so that people can really share what's present for them, and that's very important. We come together as a community, we do a centering, we do a chant. I don't say that to alarm you, but rather to just put you on notice. Yes, we do things like have 5-minute peace meditations at the start of each major segment. So we do that twice a day on Saturday and Sunday, and once on Friday evening. You have the opportunity to learn and practice these soul-centered basic skills. We do that work in what we call trios. So everybody in the trio gets to be the person who's the facilitator. They're learning and practicing this skill. There's someone who's sharing, who's talking about something that's meaningful and important to them. And then the third person is what we refer to as a neutral observer. That is a very valuable chair. I think most of us have had experiences where we were aware that we were extremely reactive to something. It's like we went from 0 to 100 very, very fast, from a place of relative peace, calm, and neutrality inside ourselves, maybe to a sense of real anger or very upset and hurt. And the neutral observer chair is really training in learning how to reside in your loving presence, in a neutral presence, and simply be present with the other two people in your trio as they are doing the work of practicing the skill and of working with whatever material they're working with within their consciousness. Part of the weekend has to do with these activities that have to do with creating your future and sharing that with other class members so you receive support and encouragement for that. The weekends are glorious. They're glorious. The curve of the energy in the weekend, it's like when people arrive on Friday night, many of them have flown in from the East Coast or other places. People are often tired from their work week, but we come together, we come into the energy, we make entrance into it, and by Sunday evening, it's just like this. There's just this incredible elevation that occurs. So how can we sum this up? The transformed world that you seek can only emerge by first transforming the world inside you. It's like so many people are caught up in trying to change things out there, and we certainly support good works and efforts to make things better on this level. But really, life occurs from the inside out, and if you want a different quality of life, then start doing the inner work and wake up into the authentic self and watch the quality of your life improved. So we just invite you to join us this fall. Let's all awaken together.